Welcome back. Appreciate your time and energy here and wanting to dive deeper into all things patient experience, scalability, and growth. Well, it's funny, they're all related, right? Scalability and growth, patient experience, patient life cycle, the flow of a business, they all interchange, and we can't talk about one without talking about the other. So here's what I wanted to do. This post is a little late. If you don't know, I'm missing a tooth, and there's context for this post, right? So it's interesting. I've been sharing this story about losing my tooth. It was a dead tooth. It's so funny. Everybody's so caught up. What happened? I'm like, I don't know. And meaning the providers. I'm like, they're like, your tooth's dead. What happened? I'm like, you just fucking told me. How would I know? So it's so funny. Everybody gets caught up on that. But my wife reminded me the other day, literally as I'm going through this procedure that I'm going to share, that I've been punched in the face at least twice that I can account for. So there's a possibility for those of you wondering how this may have happened. I played sports growing up, played basketball all the time. I equate it more to basketball than anything else, probably getting hit in the face most playing basketball, right? So who cares, honestly? The point is it fell out, and it fell out pre-COVID. And so I didn't care about it, right? So let me just give you a little context on this, right? You go to the dentist, your tooth's dead. We're going to have to do something with it. I'm like, okay, never bothered me, right? They do a root canal, which didn't hurt that bad, by the way. The root canal goes fine. They're like, how you doing? And I'm like, fine. And then I'm going back to the dentist and they're like, this thing is progressing. I'm like, what's progressing? I have 0 symptoms, right? So you're going to have to look at getting something done with this tooth, like replaced. And they said multiple things. And one of them was an implant. And again, no pain, no nothing. And finally, one day, no joke, sitting, I sneezed and my tooth fell out. And I'm sharing this, obviously it's a good laugh, but there was no pain associated with any of this. I was having no difficulty. And even then I was like, so what? I'm missing a tooth, right? And it bothered everybody who has to look at me because I don't see it. So finally, the dentist said something where it was like, it was going to start to impact the other teeth around, because there are some temporary solutions, right? You can get a temporary one that fits on a retainer, stuff like that. They were like, you should really get an implant. I'm like, okay, right? And being a typical healthcare patient, I never really asked about the procedure, right? Okay, I get it, right? They'll put a tooth in, right? They'll cement it in. So I start the procedure, I start the process. First time I go in, all they do is go in and pull the old root out, which was brutal, right? That's when it all started. So I'm scheduled for my implant. I go into the office I chose. So actually, this is part of the story too. My dentist is the one says, so what I found out later is the oral surgeon only does the surgery. The dentist actually creates the tooth that will be in there in God knows when. I'm looking at 4 months from now. So maybe when you're watching this, maybe I have a tooth, maybe I don't, but I'm still looking at 4 months. I find out that the dentist creates the tooth, the oral surgeon does all the construction work, almost like like building a house, right? The person who does the finish work, right? The contractors do all the framing and everything, but usually they subcontract, right, out all the finish work. So I'm like, okay, cool. And this is stuff like, you got to think about this with our patients. We have no context. So why didn't you ask? We have no context. And to expect people to ask about a process for an implant is ludicrous. Expecting someone to ask you about a plan and the process to get back to their goals is ludicrous. That's why on a Val Day, a plan of care is so important. That's why when I train front desk people, they start talking about the plan of care before you ever arrive. And the focus on the first phone call needs to be this end point. On the first phone call, the end point is the evaluation where you will get the plan of care, right? So this never started for me. So this discussion has been ongoing in my private Facebook group, What's Best for the Patient is Best for Business. And I said, look, here's the takeaway from this, right? I'm not going to take you through each step. I will as it becomes appropriate, but I'm not going to take you through each step because you have the context now where I never know what question to ask, and I'm just being told what to do next. right? And so I'm being taken through these steps. And what I realized, I had the second procedure, which I had no fucking idea what was going to happen. Right. So I show up, I get all this work done, only to find out it's another 4 months. I literally thought I was, again, okay, come back and we'll do the implant. I'm like, cool, I get my tooth. I come back, the implant is a freaking piece of metal shoved up, drilled into my mandible, the bone where your teeth are, of where they will attach the tooth in 4 months. Again, this is where I am now. And it was after my last procedure that I was just like, I'm tapped on this, but I got it right. I got to finish it out now. But here was my thought, and here's the take home for you. And this is what I posted like a day after my procedure. My doctor is doing the job and moving me towards my desired outcome. Check. His staff is caring. Everybody has been nice. Everybody has been polite. I will never, ever refer anybody to them for this work. Again, think about this. Think about the relevance of all this to your business, your practice, your healthcare practice. Oh, we deliver outcomes. I go to websites every day, talks about all these outcomes. I'm like, so what? Anybody, I stood in front of a group of about 150, 200 PTs today. I said, I have a dirty little secret for you. Anybody can deliver your outcomes in your community. Why will someone choose you? So number one, I'm getting the outcome I desired. The work is getting done. So sell the outcome. I'm like, nope. I'll tell you where this all fits. Next thing, right? Fits perfectly. Always go, right? People say, well, the front desk work, I get it, Jerry, right? And I inevitably, greater than 90% of the time, I ask people about their front desk. I said, tell me about your front desk. And the first answer is always, well, they're caring. And I'm like, that's like telling people you have integrity. That's a given, right? Caring doesn't pay the bills. Here's the other big takeaway. Caring does not pay your bills. Caring is a box to be checked off of 9 boxes of the attributes and skills your front desk team members need to do the work that I'm talking about today. 9 boxes, and caring is 1 box. Oh, my team cares. So back to my experience, and what I'm sharing today is the outcome will be delivered and the team cares, and I will never send anybody there. I don't want the accountability of someone coming back to me and going, shit, man, that process sucked. Did you get your outcome? Yeah. Everybody care? Yeah. The process sucked. That's the experience I'm having. Let me give you another example. Again, and think about the things you do, because this applies directly. I don't care if you're a chiro, massage, acupuncture, osteopath, physio. This applies to you every day. I have the procedure. They sit me up in the chair. Hey, Jerry, is your pharmacy still at blah, 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 blah? I went, yeah, that was it. Right? They're confirming information all the time. Confirm your birthday, confirm your date. Is your pharmacy still at blah, blah, blah? I said, yeah. I get home, right? I start icing the tooth, because I learned that after the first procedure. Start icing the tooth and rinsing a little bit. Not really sure about, I have some instructions, doing some gentle rinsing inside, right? Icing, making sure I'm eating soft stuff. I get a call from my pharmacy 2 days after the procedure to tell me my prescription is ready. There are pain pills and antibiotics. The very first night, I woke up sweating, and I thought I had an infection. It cleared really quick. But here I am 2 days later after a effing oral surgery. And I mean a drill, people. It wasn't a drill like for that cavity. It was a freaking drill to put a metal implant into my bone. Yes. And I find out 2 days later, there are pain pills and antibiotics. Oh, and an actual medical grade rinse to decrease the risk of infection. Nobody told me. Again, why am I going to recommend you to go through that same procedure? By the way, hey, friend Becky, hey, friend Bill, You need an implant? Go to these guys. Here's a list of 20 fucking questions you must ask them because they'll never tell you it in advance. No, I'm not going to recommend anybody to the facility or the doctor I went to see because so what? I got the outcome. You can get it elsewhere. You think he's the only one who does implants? No. You think he's the only one who has staff that cares? No. The outcome can be delivered and there is caring staff elsewhere. That will not grow your practice. That will not get people to arrive, pay, and stay, right? That will not get people to share their stories about their experience with you. That will get other people to choose you. You know what else? I tried to pay my bill while I was there and couldn't pay my bill. Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. Just do it when you get home. I'm like, I'm standing here with a card, with cash, right? Money to pay you. So again, this whole experience. Now, this came up. We're a little bit into this talk, but I'm going to use this word friction. These are friction points you have created by not addressing them. So by not understanding your patient's life cycle in your business and the systems you must create to move someone through this life cycle. And by the way, the systems you insert in this creates the experience you want. By not understanding all this, you have unknowingly, yet willingly, you like that? Chosen increased friction through this process. I want to pay my bill, right? Oh, you can't. How is there not a freaking checkbox of tell the effing client they have pain medicine and antibiotic and oral rinse waiting for them at the pharmacy? We have called in this order. Literally no context around that. And again, I'm telling you, because half of you are going, just ask. And I'm like, that's not going to happen. Your patients don't do it. By the way, your drop-off rate is proof of that. Your cancel rate is proof of that. Your no-shows is proof of that. These are people who've just gotten tired of not knowing what to expect. Friction is poor expectation management. Friction, again, may not even cause someone to drop off, but it's not going to create this final destination that we want, which is a paying, happy customer who arrives, pays, and stays, and tells and helps us do our marketing for us. So arrive, pay, and stay can't just be it. It's arrive, pay, and stay, and help us do our marketing for us. With us, I say. So when I leave here and I never speak a word about these, let alone it's going to be worse. I'm going to mention an implant and someone locally is going to say, where'd you get it? And I'm going to say, don't go there. So I'm not going to share bad information. I'm not going to go online and complain. I'm not going to post a negative review. I'm just going to not tell people about it. Yet when I'm asked, I'm going to tell them not to go there because of these friction points. And someone asked me, what are the friction points? I've just given you examples. It's these things you haven't thought about because you don't understand the complete patient life cycle in your business. By the way, a huge friction point for those of you who do insurance billing is the final bill. Your final bill being sent to someone out a month or two after they've completed plan of care has probably destroyed more relationships than you'll ever know. That's how this whole process started for me. Well, it started for me going out in network, but then really digging in and figuring out this part and the ecosystem of a business and how to cut the friction points was a billing issue. We had all these negative reviews that started, you guys all have them. My physical therapist was awesome, but, right, just killed the bunny, killed the relationship because of a friction point that you did not account for. So the financial policy, right? By the way, you know how we solved the billing problem 1 month after discharge? Better financial policy on arrival date and a better cost discussion before arrival. That's how we got rid of that friction point. After we changed our financial policy to read in a manner that someone could read it and understand it, we cut that final friction point. It disappeared. And so people were walking into the visit with their provider, understanding completely what their cost would be. And we did that as a out-of-network clinic. And everybody says you can't do that. And I'm like, well, I did it. So, and I've helped others do it. So you can't do it. This is friction. If you pick up business books on friction, it's usually about the top of the funnel and why, people say, it's usually used in a manner of, right, people like going through a scheduling process with you, or let me give you an example. It's a lot with online buying and shopping and looking for points where people drop off, right? Why did they not complete their purchase? And those are looked at friction points, right? But I call friction anything like I'm experiencing. It just, a friction point is a road bump, is a block in creating, no, delivering the experience that you need to deliver for your patient, client, customer to become a happy paying client, customer who arrives, pays, and stays and helps you do your marketing, right? So, friction points, you got to take a step back, right? I also surveyed our unhappy patients, right? When I got my drop offs and no shows on the phone, because I followed up with all of them, I dug a little deeper. And the ones who shared with me shared valuable information on how I could better my process, because things were happening and not happening that I was not aware of, that I didn't think about asking questions of. But as I started to hear the same thing over and over, I'm like, I got to address this. Where is this happening and why? These are the friction points I talk about. So again, if I understand my patient life cycle, then I can start to build the systems and process in place to create the experience I want for my patient, client, customer, which in turn means I'm managing and dealing with all the possible friction points. And then you have to survey people, right? They'll send me a survey and I will fill it out and say, look, right, I'll tell them directly, great caring team, procedure delivered, my experience sucked. And I'll outline it and I'll give them the opportunity to fix it. That's the beauty. You've got to embrace the pissed off, non-happy customers. And I don't mean embrace like, give them their money back. I mean, embrace their feedback and ask them for it. Bill Gates always said, there's a quote, I have a feeling it's out of context because it just doesn't fly. Bill Gates quote, of which I embraced for a long time, and now I finally get it. You'll learn more from your unhappy customers than you will your happy customers, or your unhappy customers will teach you more than your happy customers. I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. Don't focus on the unhappy people. Yet the unhappy, right, people, you need to solicit their feedback, and it's as valuable as your happy paying customers. Because if you focus on your happy paying customers and all that feedback and market and set up your processes for them, you're going to slowly but surely lose the unhappy customers. So again, I'm not sure if that's out of context, but I think it's important to say that your unhappy customers like me, and I will share the feedback. Will they do anything with it? That's the magical question. You need to embrace the feedback of your unhappy, pissed off, or maybe, by the way, happy customers are happy to share. Unhappy customers are happy to share. You need to get all that. It's the middle of the road people. They're just like, yeah, it was a good experience. And you're like, those are the ones that freak me out because they're saying, yeah, what I expected. I'm like, what'd you expect? So these friction points, or I'll call them road speed bumps, roadblocks to you delivering an experience for your client, patient, customer that they will then share with other people. And again, you cannot build an experience around outcomes and people caring. They're both part of the process. They're not the end result of the process. Because I'll challenge you on this. You've had happy paying customers who didn't reach the desired outcome they have, and they're happy and they paid and they're telling people about you because you managed their experience properly. And that's probably the best place to end this. I really want you to sit on that. You have happy paying customers who did not get better. I'll never forget when I first started engaging with those happy paying customers who didn't get better. I'm like, why the hell are they writing positive? Why are you writing a positive review for us? You didn't get better. I love reading reviews online. Did they get better? Most of the reviews online, I do it all the time. I know I've read more than you have. And I challenge you, just go online, start reading physio reviews everywhere. And literally have a box. Did they get better? Most of the time, you have no idea. I love my physical therapist, helped me so much with my problem, gave me home exercises, always listened to me, helped me so much with my problem. Understand my problem, resolve my problem. Did they get better? No idea. Yeah, this has been my experience with the dental side that is 100% applicable to what you all are doing today. So again, the friction points, right? Caring outcomes will never, ever be enough. Caring, by the way, caring and outcomes are commodities. It's this experience about how you move people through this process to their desired outcomes. And it's getting more and more this every day. And the more and more we share publicly about our research and what we do, and we think about being manual therapists versus personal trainers versus exercise only versus pain science, is this is good stuff sharing publicly because the public sees us. We're creating more uncertainty, and we're creating more uncertainty in their head, and everybody's starting to look the same. So what are you going to do to differentiate yourself and make sure that that person understands that the outcome's a given? Yes, we all care, but that's just the two boxes to check at the beginning. And now let's get through the rest of it. Don't create more friction, right? Telling people paperwork at the beginning. Oh my God, right? Just think about all these points that don't have to do with the actual outcome, right? Parking. Do they know the location? Do you make it easy to reschedule? Do you tell them, right? Is there an understanding around how to reschedule? Do they understand their costs? We talked about all this. These are the friction points that piss people off. You're rarely, I'm going to say, I don't know, maybe you can find one. I've never found a review that just said they didn't get me better, they suck. So there's another side of it. It's never they sucked because they didn't get me better. It's they sucked because of all these friction points. Go back and read the negative reviews, the 1-star reviews. Didn't get me my cost, right? Didn't listen to me. It's never about didn't get me better. So if you think it's just about the outcome, find me a negative review based on not getting the outcome they desired. They don't exist. So both sides of that. These are really things I want you to reflect on. If it was about the outcome and people caring, then why don't all the negative reviews just talk about outcomes? They don't, rarely. I would argue there are none out there. Someone will go find one. But compared to, I mean, it's going to be 0.0001 for all the physio reviews out there. Cool. Cut the friction down. Think about that experience that you want to create. Think of all those roadblocks you set up for people to have a less than positive experience on their journey to their desired outcome that you come up alongside with them. Okay. And don't ask me for a freaking oral surgeon in Philadelphia. Cheers.